Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, welcome to this session of comprehension on unit number 17. And today we'll see how we may write the answers to the questions in the given exercise. So the very first question is, why did John C. lose the will to live, and how did it affect her recovery? So, dear students, we may start our answer from the question itself, because it says, why did John C. lose the will? So, we have to start it in the past tense, saying John C. lost the will to live because she believed she would die when the last leaf on the ivy vine fell. We may this superstition, because obviously that is nothing to believe. So but this superstition made her hopeless and weakened her both physically and emotionally. Well, just to complete our answer, we may say her lack of desire to fight the illness made her condition worse, because she was mentally not tough enough to fight against the disease. So, as the doctor also hinted in the story, that only her willingness to live could help her recover. So, that should be the answer to the first question. Second student says, dear students, how did Sue try to help John C. during her illness? So, Sue is basically a very good friend, and we may start writing that Sue cared for John C. Like a devoted friend. And we may continue by saying that she stayed by her bedside, encouraged her, and she tried to keep her spirits high to live. Even she brought the doctor, and she tried to keep the room warm, worked on her drawings carefully, as she's herself an artist, and most importantly, she never lost hope. Dear students, we may complete our answer by saying Sue also sought Berman's help, the artist who wanted to create a masterpiece, when she learned about John C.'s belief in the falling leaves. So that is how she was a very helpful and devoted friend to John C. Third student says, the third one, what role does Berman play in the story, and why is his action significant? So we may start writing the answer by introducing who is Berman. First of all, he is an old artist who lives downstairs in the same building where these two girls are living. So his action becomes the turning point. So that is really very significant of the story. So dear students, actually after learning about John C.'s belief, he paints a realistic leaf on the wall in a stormy and cold weather. So this painted leaf, dear student, actually gives John C. hope and thereby saves her life. Right. We may finish our answer on the last sentence saying that his sacrifice and compassion, kindness, humanity, you may write anything, that make him the true hero of the story. So that is the role of Berman in the story. Question number 4, dear students, is how does the last leaf becomes a symbol of hope for John C.? So we all know that she actually had pinned all her hopes on the last leaf. So the last leaf becomes a symbol of hope when John C. notices that it refuses to fall despite the storm. So we may continue, dear students. She interprets it as a sign of strength and begins to regain her confidence and the will, which was very important to live. So we may finish our sentence by saying she realizes she was wrong to give up, and the leaf inspires her to fight the illness with determination and courage. So that is how the last leaf becomes a symbol of hope for Johnson. Question number 5, dear students, is about the message. What message does the story convey about sacrifice and the human kindness? So we may start our answer saying the story highlights that true kindness often comes through quiet and selfless actions. So we may continue. Burman, actually, he is the symbol of sacrifice. So he sacrifices his life to paint the last leaf, and that is what giving John C. a reason to live. So, dear students, we see that his act teaches that genuine love and compassion can save lives, and that even an ordinary person, Burman was no special person, but he can perform an extraordinary deed that becomes a masterpiece of humanity. So, that is actually how the story conveys the message of sacrifice and human kindness. Question number 6, dear students, is how does the theme of friendship appear in the relationship between Sue and John C? So the answer can be written like this: friendship between Sue and John C shows deep loyalty, first of all, care, and concern. So these are the things which make the friendship clear. So actually, Sue sacrifices her comfort, her works tirelessly, and she is the one who never loses hope for John C's recovery. So, dear student, we may continue by saying she shields John C from negative thoughts and seeks help when needed. She called the doctor and all that. Even she was the instrumental in calling Berman, and he painted the last leaf. So, the relationship highlights how true friendships support each other during difficult times and become a source of strength. So, that is how their friendship appear in the relationship between Sue and Johnson. Question number 7, dear students, is how is pneumonia described in the story? So we may start our answer from the word pneumonia itself. So pneumonia is described as a severe and life-threatening illness or disease that strikes many people in the cold season. You say in the story, it weakens John C so much that she loses the will to live. Right? We may say the doctor explains that medicine can only help if she wishes to survive. So thus pneumonia becomes both the physical and as well as Johnson. So we see that pneumonia is important player. Question number 8, dear student, is what is the importance of ivy leaf in the story? So the ivy leaf actually that also played a very important role in the story as it becomes a central symbol of hope and survival. So that is why it is important. So we may continue. John believes he will die when the last leaf falls. So when the leaf remains despite the storm, it inspires her to regain strength and fight the illness. We have to mention here that this leaf actually painted by Berman ultimately saves her life and represents sacrifice, courage, and power of belief. So that is why the ivy leaf is very important in the story. So dear students, we have reached the ninth question of the story. So it says, what is the main idea of the story? So we may say the main idea of the story is that hope, love, and selfless sacrifice can save lives. So in the story we see that John C. recovers only when she finds inspiration in the last leaf, which was painted by Berman at the cost of his own life. So Berman loses his life to save John C.'s life. So we may conclude by saying that the story teaches that kindness, compassion, and emotional strength are often more powerful than medicine. Although medicine is important, but these things are more powerful in helping someone survive and thereby getting back to life. So that is the main idea of the story, dear students. Question number 10, the last one of the story, that is actually about the elements of the plot. Dear students, I may share the name of the elements which are there. The very first one is the exposition. As we see that the story begins in Greenwich Village and the two artists there, John C. becomes ill and she lost all her hope. So this establishes the character, situation, and the conflict. The second one is the setting. So the story is set actually in Greenwich Village, New York, in a small artistic neighborhood, and all struggling painters are there. The main event occurs when the two friends live together, and the cold, stormy winter atmosphere reflects Johnson's hopelessness and plays a crucial role in the story. The third one is the climax. It occurs when a severe storm hits at night, and Sue fears the final leaf will fall, but the next morning the last leaf is still there. So this moment changes Johnson's mindset as she realizes that the last leaf survival means she could also fight for her life. And the fourth thing we may see is the character development. Well, that can be defined as John C. grows from a hopeless, weak patient to a determined young woman inspired by the last leaf, so develops as a loving, supportive friend, and she never gives up. Berman transforms from a failed artist into a heroic figure whose final act, that is the painting of leaf, so that reveals deep compassion and courage. And finally we may say that the last element we can say that is resolution, dear students. The story resolves when John C. begins to recover after finding strength in the surviving leaf. So that is how, dear students, we may explain that these are the elements which of plot which are there in the last leaf. So with that, dear students, we have come to the end of this exercise, and I hope you must have understood the answers to the questions. But I must say that you need to practice them at home. Try to write it in your own words and practice it as much as you can. Well, thank you very much, dear students. Allah bless you all.